You're muted, Paul.
I thought I took it off. Good evening, everyone. Welcome to another edition of the Gray Area here on the Black Men Unfiltered Network, simulcasting on the Sparta HQ Network. I'm Mr. Bennett, joined by my partner, as always,
This is Sparta!
the Ghost of Sparta, a.k.a. Peter, a.k.a. Panayotis. Yasu, my brother, what is going on?
What is going on, my man?
Things are pretty good. Pretty productive, certainly from last week. Got back on the road and did some traveling for work and for business, and certainly seeing a little bit, I guess, of the future, which is certainly can we can talk about to kind of fill some of the space as we go through the show tonight. But tonight is our call-in show. Certainly. So again, we'll be soon dropping the link for those who want to join the conversation tonight. You can be part of it tonight. So again, we've talked about in the last three shows leading up to this one, we talked about consumerism. We talked about marketing and capitalism in terms of romance. So we talked about Valentine's Day. We talked about engagement and wedding rings. We talked about the cost of weddings. And the more I see some of that stuff, the more I'm asking, for people who are so involved in consumerism, that at the end of the day, is it all worth it? And, do we need to all start making better decisions, wiser decisions in terms of how we spend our money? I mean, you do what you want to do, but at least it's just an idea that we need to start thinking more wisely in terms of where our money goes, and is the amount that you pay for, can you truly pay for love? And, so those are things that we've encountered over the last few weeks. But certainly you're free to come on up and, talk about, certainly what's on your mind. The only thing we ask is, again, we keep it respectful here. You must be on. Your camera must be on. Certainly doing the show, we got to see you ahead of time. Any kind of race, any kind of foul stuff, we'll boot you right away and we'll block you. So again, we don't have any patience for that. This is about having a meaningful and respectful conversation. And so, certainly we abide by those rules very strictly on this show. But make sure you hit the like button, certainly, as you come in tonight. Really helps us out, not only here, but hop on over to Sparta HQ Network and certainly hit the like button there. And consider becoming a subscriber to both networks, because each network has different shows, different topics that we hope they'll be to your interest. And, definitely looking forward to, certainly conversation tonight. But like I said, call-in show is tonight. So you guys can certainly, soon we will drop the link, certainly for the show. And again, you're certainly welcome to be part of the conversation. But again, just be mindful of our policies here. But like I was saying, again, a very productive week in terms of, just seeing, I guess, what the future is looking like. And, just working in production environments and seeing, what's coming down the pike. It is exciting, but in some ways it's frightening at the same time. When we talk about automation, I had an opportunity to go to a warehouse that's going to be opening up. Well, it's already open, but we're really going to start, really producing some live production, volume, certainly by the summer. And I'm seeing what they're doing in there. It's amazing. I mean, it's really cool in a lot of ways to see, where this technology is going and what it allows people to do. But at the same time, there's obviously going to be people who are concerned about the idea of automation and the future and whatnot. So again, we can certainly talk about that. But also, this starts to count down. So it's 3 weeks away to the end of season 29. So again, my wife and I were, starting to wind this down. So by the 29th of this month, we would have celebrated 29 years of marriage. But again, as I've said, I don't typically like to talk about what's done. I'm always thinking about what we're doing. So I'm more excited about season 30 starting for us, and the plans and the things that we want to do in season 30. Got a lot of big things we're kind of planning for that as a milestone in our relationship. And so we're very excited about that as well. So so lots of things that are going on, and we're having fun. In this time where we're not empty nesters yet, but we're certainly we're allowed to kind of go out when Peter decides to give me time off. Certainly, I'm allowed to go off and do some fun things with her. And we have a lot of activities planned up over the summer and certainly around our anniversary time. So just an exciting time on both fronts, and certainly looking forward to the opportunities that are in front of us and we pay less attention to what's behind us. So again, a very exciting time, and so everything is good. But what's going on?
You guys have been planning for your 30 season or 30-year, whatever you want to call it?
Well, yeah. I mean, there were certain things that we were trying to do this year, but we've done a lot of things that have come up this year, and we really try to be mindful of still finances and where things go, whatnot. So we're thinking, what, maybe it might be better off that we save these things for season 30. And so we're thinking about certain things, but we'll see what happens later in the year. I know I got some bonus money coming in. I got taxes to do and things like that. So we'll see how sort of everything unfolds. But yeah, certainly I think as time goes on, we do want to certainly to be with the same person in the bed with the same person for 3 decades is pretty it's
Long time.
yeah. So it's so we're definitely looking forward to what those opportunities look like. And,
It's a long
so we're just
time
open
in
everything.
this world we're in now, because think about it, most people don't last few years tops. When you hear somebody hitting 30, 40, 50 years, it's rare.
Yeah.
So you gotta give yourselves credit on that one.
Yeah, I mean, we just we're just very consistent, and again, some people may call us boring, because again, we don't we keep a drama free house. So I mean, our daughters can bring some of the drama, being young people the way they are, and they have to go through their growing pains and whatnot. But as far as for us, we value tranquility. We value peace. And so those are certainly two great motivators for us, that we're able to have this environment where it's beyond just getting along, but we enjoy each other's company, and we enjoy being. So again, when the pandemic was there, we had no issues at all. In terms, I know, and we know a lot of couples who broke up during the pandemic because, again, you're used to be that person not being around all the time, but when they're in your face 24/7, the way we were on lockdown. You get to see a lot of things. You can't, a lot of people had lives outside of the marriage that, kind of kept their interest or whatever. But, when you have to kind of be, pinned down with somebody, and you don't deal with the issues that are in front of you, that things happen. So again, there were a lot of COVID divorces that we saw, unfortunately, when we did get out, and then we did catch up with some people because we lost contact. And I was just floored by the number of divorces that I saw. For people who were married 15, 20 years. And so, so that was a huge eye opener to us, that we wanted to make sure that, we took things a year at a time and focused in learning how to live in the present. I think was very important to us. So, so that's just a mindset that we've developed, and we just, keep doing it. And it's just about, what's ahead, not looking at, what's behind us. But, certainly, our kids, I think, I remind us of, what we've done. If anything, I'm proud of is, where they're going, with their lives and things that they're accomplishing. But as far as for us, what we did 5 years ago really doesn't matter. It's what we do today, and the mindsets and attitudes, how we're going to treat each other today, what we wake up with every morning. So it's just that present kind of living that really we've learned over time. So again, we didn't have all this stuff down 20 years ago or almost 30 years ago. We didn't have a lot of stuff down. It was a lot of, you kind of learn as you go along. And I think that's the other thing, I think you have to be committed to sort of staying with it. That commitment, that vow, that covenant that you made, staying there, but then, giving you some grace to kind of learn some things along the way, and having some elasticity so that you can allow people to grow in the ways that they need to grow, and giving some grace because, you're not always going to be perfect yourself. And so, you're forgiven just as much as you forgive the other person. So it's just all those things that have, certainly led to this point. But, definitely, again, starting the countdown, 21-day countdown to the end of season 29. And it's been a good one. It's been a challenging one. It's milestones. It's seeing your kids go to the next level. I mean, my daughter's in medical school, and going down there to be able to see, what she's doing, and but even now, the way things are going, just her progress, and she's really kind of coming into her own there. and it's just it's just a good time to be in, and I'm just trying to stay as healthy and fit as I can in this time, certainly to enjoy it all and take it all in. So,
Nice.
yeah, for sure. But I'm gonna drop the link in the chat. So again, this is our call-in show, and anyone who wants to be part of the conversation, I'm gonna drop the link in the chat. But again, just be mindful of the rules, as I said earlier. We want to keep it respectful. Anything you want to talk about as far as prior shows that we've done, any comments, or if you just want to kind of hang out with us, just drop the link in the chat. And again, we got to see you before you come up. But we have our regulars, and we know who you are. So again, certainly you guys, you guys have already kind of been cleared. You passed security clearance, so I don't think we have to necessarily worry about you and and the things that you're doing. But let's, in the meantime, as certainly as we wait for people to come up, so I want to talk about a little bit about my trip. So again, I was down in Tifton, Georgia, which is always kind of special in some ways for me, because I know if you go 90 miles west of where I was, that's where all my family's from. So all my family's from that southern Georgia, northern Florida panhandle area. So typically when I go down there, I fly into Jacksonville, and then it's like a 2.5 hour drive to get to Tifton. Now, the only thing to do there's nothing to do in Tifton at all except eat. They got every kind of restaurant food that you can imagine. They got Waffle House, they got Longhorns, they got Mexican, all kinds of eateries and whatnot. So the only thing to really do down there is kind of to eat and get fat. But as far as the work that's being done in the realm of technology is pretty interesting. So again, we got this we're opening up a huge warehouse. And again, I won't, just for privacy, I won't reveal my employer. But certainly a huge warehouse. The one that down there is minuscule, certainly compared to what's being opened, and they double the size of that. So you talk about like a 700,000 foot warehouse that's being opened down there to help with the distribution that's happening down there. And again, there's just a lot of exciting technology that they're using. They're using robotics in this in this new endeavor. So let me just share my screen. I just want to share a video. Posted on my Facebook page. But it is just kind of a quick 90-second video I put together of the complex and kind of what's going on, certainly in that place, so you can just kind of see what's going on. And I think I got the sound muted, so I'm just going to just play because I don't want to get copyrighted. So again, these are automation robots that they're using. So these guys here, they work in those bins. Okay, so they're automated. So they go in and they go up and down like an escalator. I mean, an elevator. They're able to go up there and they're able to fill bins, store products up there. So they have a lot of those bins, and this is just a start. So like really, their initial job is going to handle about 5% of the capacity of the warehouse, but certainly in the future, that may go up to 15 to 20%, depending on the needs and how the capacity grows. So all these tall bins that they're able to go into, and so those robots, so they carry a bin, they go in, and when they come down, they go into this picking station. Okay, so again, any merchandise that's brought down, you can certainly go in, take from the bins that are there, and so they come up that you can unload, and then they go right back and into service and pick something else up or what have you. And each one has a particular name or naming convention to them. So again, this one I thought was interesting, from Toho. So again, I'm a huge Japanese monster fan. So if you know Toho Studios in Japan, you have the movie studio theirs, but each one, there's one I think named Judy, and there's just all kinds of, naming conventions that they have there. Now these guys here, these are sorting robots. So again, you have the what they call it, the white ones, the Exotech robots. They kind of go up and down and they store, large quantities of product. But then when things come down, they're able to be sent for these little yellow guys. And what these guys do is they take the product and they put them into packing bins for workers on the floor. They pack the merchandise that's being brought down. And so they work off of this sort of highway. And so the black highway that they're on, there's a lot of electronics. There's a lot of technology on those tracks. And certainly these robots, they follow these tracks, and there's the sensors that are built in place where that prevents them from running into each other. So if you saw a little bit earlier, there's a lot of them. And so, how do you prevent these guys from running into each other? They're also very patient, so they almost take from consumers. So if there's a lot of traffic going across you, the robot will wait until the coast is clear before he goes off and whatnot. So there's no collisions, there's no accidents that happen with these guys. So they're very smart.
In other words, there's no road rage.
No, there's no road rage. And it's interesting, these bins right here, now these are battery charging stations. So the robots know when they're running down on power. And so when they're running down, once they get to a certain point, they'll make their way over to these charging stations and they'll just park in there. And so this is essentially their coffee break. And they will hang out there until they're fully charged, and then they just get right back into service right after that. So
Here's a question for people.
Yeah.
If one goes down for because of charging, does it slow the production down?
Not really. There's so many of them because some of them are kind of set on cue. Again, the current capacity is up to a certain point. As they grow capacity, if they need more robots in service, then they can certainly do that. And obviously, you're always going to have technical difficulties if a robot has to be taken out of service. They should have enough to kind of keep things going. But if it's like anything else, if they need to have it repaired or if they need to order a new one, they just kind of swap them out. So again, but again with these guys, there's no compensation. And so, so these things are
no labor laws, in other words.
What's that?
No
labor, no robot. Not yet anyway. But so they go into these bins to charge up, and then they just come out on their own and they just kind of go up and down the track. Now here's where, so again, you have a manual picker, human being who will load these guys with merchandise. And they basically take that merchandise over to packing stations where you have other human workers. They'll pack them into boxes, and they'll tape them up, and and prepare them for shipping. And so so again, you put the merch on, and the robot, he's just gonna go on his merry way, and he goes all the way down to a packing bin. He puts the merch in the packing bin, and he goes up to pick up his next load. And then you also have, once the boxes are packed, as far as packing labels and whatnot, you have the machines that put the automatic shipping labels on it, so for each package that goes down. So again, it's just a very, very cool thing to watch. Mm-hmm. But then we also have to be mindful of the ideas of, what does this mean and what does this represent? Certainly for all of us in terms of, capacity to work. So we got some people in here. So again, we got Ali. Appreciate you being here tonight. Obviously, I got Anton. Always welcome in the place. Really appreciate, certainly really appreciate you being here. Supporting us always. Certainly in these spaces. And so, so we're here, seeing, a lot of this tech that's about to be implemented. But we also have to talk about what the ramifications are of automation. So this is just in the U.S. It's happening across the world, and people are concerned, rightly, about what does this mean in terms of labor, in terms of employment, and things of that nature. And so so what are your views? Again, the line is open. So again, it's already been dropped in the chat. Anybody wants to come up with us, the link has already been dropped. So if you want to come up and be a part of the conversation, you're more than welcome to do so. Again, just abide by our rules as we said. And be a part of it. But what are just your initial views of automation, and what do you think is a more a positive, a net positive, a net negative in your view? How do you view it?
I think it's a little 50-50, Paul. I think it's a positive and a negative. Positive because automation makes our lives a lot easier. The negative, a lot of people are going to start losing their jobs too. Mm-hmm. That is the scary part of it. But we're heading that direction anyway. So the automation is every company is going to do it at some point. So McDonald's is already doing it. They have a lot of stuff that they had a human being doing cooking wise. Now they have a robot doing it instead. Mm-hmm. Giant supermarket, Walmart supermarket have this. I'm not sure what it's called. It's like a robot that goes and cleans up the floors when you make a spill. Mm-hmm. They're all over the place.
Yeah, I even see like they got these security robots If you see them like in your supermarkets or whatnot, they're kind of going around and they're kind of just, videotaping and everything, just, watching everything that goes on. So they kind of just, in the aisle and whatnot. So yeah, but but honestly, I mean, automation's been happening for almost 50 years now, right? I mean, who remembers, if you're a wrestling fan going all the way back, who remembers Dusty Rhodes and his Hard Times video? And he talked then about in the 80s where you had a lot of the auto manufacturers when they started to employ robots in the factories, and you had a lot of jobs that were displaced in the 80s because of technology. And what happened in steel plants and things of that nature as well. So there's always been some kind of automation that has been happening for quite some time now, certainly since the 80s. And now we're seeing, again, new iterations of it, again, with these automated robots and AI that is, really starting to do even a lot of the mental tasks. Initially, they were brought in to do a lot of the physical tasks, but now they're also starting to do a lot of the mental tasks also and the solutioning of it. So, so people are, obviously you have certainly have a right to be concerned about it. Now, some people say, well, look, start your own business or, put yourself into an area where, you have to, where that can't be automated. And maybe in a lot of ways, that's also, I guess, if you want to say a positive of it, is that just like what happened with the auto manufacturers, just like what happened with the steel mills and whatnot, you may have to change, right? They say a lot of people, you may change jobs 10 times in your life. And so, so certainly one thing that it'll teach you is not to become comfortable in one area thinking, oh, I got a job for life or something like that. I mean, that hasn't happened certainly in this country for decades now. Now, my dad, when he worked at what was then AT&T or Bell, Bell Atlantic, whatever the entity was. Yeah, it was that kind of thing. And if you were part of a union or something, you had a job for life. And the same model, interesting, because I shared a video, I think within our group some time back, about in Japan, the Japanese model was such for many years, especially after World War II, where if you had a job in Japan, you had a job for life. And that kind of model really was the fabric of their society for decades. But in recent years, all of that has kind of come apart at this point, where you have, they're starting to encounter problems with, they can't make those kind of guarantees anymore in terms of, job security and those kind of things. And now with automation coming in, then it's really going to be an issue with, with people in terms of, how do you ensure your future? And again, some people would say go into investing. Some people may say get Bitcoin. People may, people come up with all kinds of ideas in terms of, being self-sufficient or self-employed or what have you. But that's not a guarantee either. Most people who become self-employed are not in business after 5 years. So, you have so everything is going to be about risk. But I think one thing is for sure, just in this society that's fast changing, you have to be ready and you have to be agile to move into a particular sector. I know you talk about your background. I mean, you got certified as an auto mechanic, right? Mm-hmm. And
auto
now
mechanic, bartender, martial artist, and now cook.
Yeah. So again, a person, yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Reminds me when the robots were added to assembly lines. Absolutely. So again, so you're an example also of how a person may have to go and change whole careers, not just a job, not just leaving one and making a horizontal move, but getting into a whole new industry. And for a lot of people, especially if you've been employed at a particular place for so many years, you may think, well, I don't know what else to do. I mean, this is all I know. And it's just becoming more and more of a reality that people have to be mindful of the changing times. And what's going on. But, what do you guys think in the chat? I mean, certainly, again, this is our call-in show. Again, the link has already been dropped in the chat, so you can certainly come up and be part of the conversation. If you want to talk about this topic of automation, or if you want to talk about wedding rings or marriage or weddings, the cost of weddings, or Valentine's Day, or any other topic that we've talked about on the show, the line is open for you to be a part of the conversation. Just, click on the link and hop on up and join us. So you can certainly be a part of that. But, just in terms of filling the space, and because I just came off this trip and just kind of really seeing, again, what this future, with this warehouse, how this warehouse is going to run. Now, again, the robots are going to handle on the outset about 5% of the capacity of the warehouse. So you're still going to have forklift operators. You're still going to have, laborers in. They're not, from what I'm understanding, they're not looking to lay anybody off of that. They probably need to bring a few more people in because, again, the warehouse that they're moving from is, again, it's small. It's like a tenth of the size of what this new warehouse is. And so the employees that we have there now, they're going to need more. Especially once these robots come online and whatnot, you're going to need more pickers, more packers, more forklift operators and things of that nature. But there is that potential to grow capacity over time. And then, obviously the powers that be, they're going to look at the cost benefit analysis of having these robots and this robotics over human labor and manual workers. And so, we have to be mindful of these things. And also the sectors that could be affected. So again, warehousing is almost like an easy one. Just from the video, if you weren't here earlier, I showed a video earlier about what goes on, what's going to be going on in this warehouse, where you're going to have two types of robots. One that goes literally it kind of rolls in. It can go up and down like an elevator up to a bin at the very top. Pick something, fill the bin, and just bring the bin down and bring it to a picking station or sorting station. And then you got the yellow guys, and they just kind of go around and they just put things in sorting bins for packers to pack up. So that's going to save a lot of manpower when it comes to that. And I do have some slides so that I can show. I was just before the show, I just want to kind of get some information ahead of the show, just to kind of talk about, again, automation and where it's going. And again, like I was saying earlier, if you're a wrestling fan, go back to Dusty Rhodes' Hard Times video. And he was talking about it back then 40 years ago about robotics and where this thing is going. So, again, one of the things that I got here from this website, Team Stage, and they talked about it. So, again, 1.6 manufacturing jobs are lost for every new robot. Okay, so again, they not only replace, but they do the work of almost two people for every robot that you put in. And, again, they don't need holidays. They don't need time off. They may need a little maintenance here and there, but these are things that people have to be mindful of. Just some additional stats: up to 20 million manufacturing jobs could be lost to robots by 2030. Up to 375 million jobs can be lost to automation. This is globally by 2030. Jobs that require a bachelor's degree, and have certain positions, I think they can certainly be replaced to robots by 24%. So again, that's certainly something that you need to be mindful of. Just a few more stats here. Again, these are the areas that really, what areas are really going to be affected the most, and where in certain jobs you wouldn't even think of. But they're talking about, again, waiters. And we talk about just going to McDonald's and you don't even have a server anymore. Like, well, to McDonald's, may I help you? I did that for 4 years, by the way. But, certainly waiters or people at the front desk, 73% potential job loss. Sorters or shelf fillers in stores. Again, you saw those robots that I showed earlier, 72%. Bar staff. So, again, you were saying yeah, I mean, if you can kind of go and just order your drink, and you can go to, it's almost like now when you go and you go there and you have the automated machine that can fill your drink. So you want to go in there, you want a Coke, right? And in fact, they got the Coke machines where you can dial up. They got all these different flavors of Coca-Cola, right? They got cherry cola, they got root beer Coke, and all that. So you press a button, and it mixes your drink and comes down. So what if you just went to a bar kiosk and just said, "Oh, I want a Bloody Mary" or something like that, and you put the how you want it or whatever, and the cup's there, and the machine just kind of makes your drink for you. I mean, those are things that you have to be mindful of. You want a vodka martini shaken, not stirred. In the near future, you could have a robot that's doing that. Teachers, potential for automation to replace teachers, 20%. Those in medical practitioners, potential for 18% in terms of job loss. In the future. So again, some of the positive sides of automation, because like you said earlier, it's kind of a 50-50. Childcare work demand will increase by at least 100%. So again, work positions such as child and elderly care are expected to be on the rise in the coming years as they are difficult to automate. So the number of healthcare jobs created by automation in this industry, both directly and indirectly, is expected to go up by 130 million by 2030. AI is going to create 2.3 million jobs. Automation will create 133 million jobs, but it's already 2025. But again, to create these robots, right? I mean, obviously these robots are being created and they're put into storage. You need the software and the tech developers and whatnot to put this together. So again, it's certainly created new industries because of that. Again, 33% of positions in the U.S. in the last 25 years have never existed before because of robotics and AI. And again, the big thing, as you were saying earlier in your life experience, 54% of workers will need to acquire new skills because of this AI. So again, you might have been in an industry that was replaced because of AI, and now you find yourself in a position where you're gonna have to you're gonna have to go out and do something else. Now, another stat that I didn't share earlier, and this is a really big one, up to 70% of jobs that could be automated are held by women. So again, as women get into the workforce, these are things. So again, waiters, shelf stackers, cashiers, bar staff. Again, a lot of women, retail. A lot of these jobs are held by women, and so they're at great risk of being out of a job because of this automation. So again, you have to start thinking about, what can I do? What industries can I get into that is not going to be either affected by automation, or they say if you can't beat them, join them. Maybe you need to get into automation, get into AI, and get into data analytics and a lot of these positions where they need people to obviously program these robots and to set up these infrastructures for these robots to run on. So maybe that's the industry to go into rather than be on it. Like I said, it's a very sophisticated track that these robots need to work on. It's very complex. If you're not careful, things can go awry very quickly. Again, that's why we've gone through certainly almost a year-long setup and test process to build this infrastructure for these robots to work in. When I was there over the summer, they weren't even turned on. We saw a lot of them, but they weren't even active. So now we're kind of in this beta stage where we're kind of testing all these things out and seeing where things are going. But certainly when these things go live later this year, that's when we're really going to see, again, are we going to get the bang for the buck? When we do this. Shout out to Liberty Twitcher. So again, so this is something that you really need to be mindful of. But again, it also creates an industry. Robotics repair and maintenance techs have a bright future, absolutely, because again, they're not going to fix themselves, at least not yet anyway. They're not going to fix themselves. So again, these are things that if you're an aspiring college student and you're thinking about what industries to get into, this is a conversation that you really need to think about. Where's automation going? Where's robotics going? Where is, what are the industries where either I can benefit from automation or that are automation proof? You have to ask yourself those questions if you really want to be, again, part of the conversation. So again, we have someone who jumped up in the chat named Finn. Okay, now Finn, we have to see you, your camera on. And you have to, so again, all I'm saying is a nice, cute looking dog here, but we need to be able to see your face on camera. So again, if you can't show your face on camera, we don't know you at this point. If you're not going to be there, then we're going to have to let you go, certainly from the conversation. But again, for those who honestly and sincerely want to be part of this conversation, just chat it up with us on the show. Certainly, you're more than welcome to. Be part of this particular space. But what do you think about that? Just the terms of the potential jobs, the job growth that can happen because of automation, and again, the jobs that are likely to be lost due to automation. What are your thoughts on that, Pete?
I'm more about the people who are going to lose their jobs, who they're getting to the point they're almost retiring, but they're not there yet. So, so what is going to happen to those people? Sometimes they're like, I hate to say this, but you might be able to find a new job or find a new career. If you're like only like 5 years away from retirement, then what to those people?
Well, I think I think that's a mindset, and I think we have to really get away from that. I'm, a lot of people would say that I'm close to in a lot of professions that I would be close to retirement age, but I'm still in my mindset. I'm still open to opportunities and experiences. I think the one thing that's really sustained me over the last few years is that I'm not saying, I'm too old to learn something new. If you're in your 50s, you better be open to going back to school and learning something new, or at least having a mindset to receive something that's different than what you're used to. For those who talk about, look, I've been doing it. It's like Bones from Star Trek. He said, "Look, I'm a doctor. I'm not a bricklayer." Right? Well, sometimes you got to do, what is required, not what you want. And so, and I think learning new things, I think in a way that keeps you young. You know what I mean? It keeps you young mentally when you're not closing yourself off, and you're not just in your rocking chair thinking you're just going to coast through the rest of your life. And I think a lot of people, especially when they retire, their lifespans really aren't that long afterwards. Because again, what is your purpose to get up every day? If you don't have a burning desire in front of you to do something positive with your life, what are you living for? So again, those who are looking to coast, you're probably going to be affected greatly by automation, and just a lot of the changes that are happening. So again, you better be willing. If someone offers you, and I tell people this all the time, if you're in IT or any kind of one of these spaces, if an opportunity opens up for you to learn something, they say, "Hey, we're short here. Hey, you can help out." Take every opportunity that they give you, because that is something that could help you down the road. What employers are looking for these days is flexibility. They're looking for the ability to adapt. Can you adapt to new changes and new circumstances? I went through my prior job. I went through 7 mass layoffs, 7, and I survived every one of them. And there were times when it was like, okay, look, well, we let go of this person, so you're going to need to do their job now. What am I going to say at that point? Okay, what do I got to do? And so just having that willingness to take on new things, I don't care if you're 50, 60, 70 years old, you better be willing to do that if you want to survive in this economy, or unless you got enough bread where you can retire and don't have to worry about your long-term future. And I hope you do. I hope you have assets and retirement funds and annuities and all these things that are in front of you. I mean, obviously, there's a lot of volatility now with everything that's going on in the world. You don't know how to safe and secure things. I mean, guys who are really into Bitcoin and a lot of these other exotic products, you don't know what's going to happen in the future. I wish you well. I don't want anybody to fail. I'm not hating on Bitcoin or any one of these other stock exchanges or other ways that people are looking at things. I hope it's safe and secure, and I hope it can become a true alternative to traditional monetary products. I really do. It's not hating, but again, nothing's guaranteed. If you're trusting that Social Security is going to be there for you, certainly in the future, those are things you got to be mindful of also. So I think these times, because of the changes, because of the robotics and everything that's going on, I think you have to take a mindset that says, look, I can't stand still. Yes, it was great. I was comfortable where I was, and I appreciated all the things that I was able to do. But you better get out there and really start thinking about what can I do in the future. You're never too old, certainly, to learn anything. But people who have that mindset, you will be left behind if you continue with that mindset. Oh, I'm too old. Oh, I'm 5 years from retirement. I can't learn anything else. You better get over that real quick, because again, if you don't, then again, this is what, again, for those who are coming in, later, this is what we're looking at. So again, these robots, these automated units. So they go into these packing bins, and they can go all the way up. It's kind of hard to see them when they're going up and down, but they can go to any one of those shelves from the bottom to the top, and they can pull inventory down, and they can put it into these picking stations for, again, laborers to then take it to the next level to pack it or to send it out. And so these guys, again, just like I said, any other robots, they all have names to them. Like I said, the one that's coming up here, his name is Toho. So I kind of picked that one out because I'm a big Toho fan. But these guys here, these are your sort of sorting pickers. They take merchandise to the packing stations. But this is real. There's about 300 of these guys currently in the warehouse, and they can always upscale these guys to do more. Those stations, like I was saying earlier, if they need a coffee break, right? They basically park themselves into these battery packing stations, and they can kind of just hang out there until they're fully charged, and then once they charge, they go back on the floor and they go right back to business. Okay, so again, they can take care of themselves, certainly to a large extent, and you can control what they do. So again, if you want to sort of take them offline, they kind of all auto park themselves. When you're ready to start, start the process and start sending goods to the picking bins, they all kind of assemble and line up, and one comes right after another, and you can just kind of pack them up, and it knows where to send things to the different stations depending on what the product is. It kind of knows where to send things because there's certain stations that pack certain products. It's already built in there. They already know how to, certainly they already know how to do that. So again, in this case here, this guy, he's going to be again packed up. So he's going to put something there, hit a button, and he already knows where to go. All right, so he's going to take it exactly to the place where he needs to go, and he's going to dump it off. And then the packers, they're going to take the merchandise and they're going to pack it into boxes. And those boxes are going to be, once they're packed up, they're going to get stamped. And, so again, you got this automatic, this system's called Panther. So they're going to just automatically just pack this up, and it's just going to be ready to, go. So again, this is the future, in terms of where, certainly a lot of this is going. And so you have to be mindful of that, when you are, looking at that. Shout out to Indigo Major. Certainly appreciate you being here. And like I said, the link is open. I'll drop the link in the chat again for anybody who wants to be part of the conversation. Again, we're talking about just automation just to fill the space, but any other of our prior shows. So we've talked about weddings, the cost of weddings, the cost of engagement rings and wedding rings, the cost of Valentine's Day. So how romance really is a big moneymaker for a lot of people. It's $30 billion in Valentine's Day just by itself. Now I want to think about how much the wedding industry is, or how what that piece is. But we talked about engagement rings. There was an ad campaign that was set up by De Beers decades ago in the 40s that talked about setting a certain amount of a monthly salary for wedding rings, and it really became to an end in the 80s, where they said that you need to spend at least 2 months of your salary on an engagement ring. How many of us have bought into that kind of thinking that you have to spend that kind of money for a wedding ring? And I even shared a story of a woman that I actually work with, who actually said when her then husband came up and proposed initially, got down on one knee and did all that kind of stuff, and the first words out of her mouth was, "Is that the best you can do?" And so that would have been a deal breaker right there. But he went back, got a bigger, a better wedding ring for her, an engagement ring. And then after a year or so, she got tired of that, and then she intentionally lost the wedding ring in the sink, and he had to get another one simply because she got tired of the one that she was wearing. So again, I don't think they're together anymore. But again, just there's lessons learned there. And I know Pete, he shared a story, dropped $20K on an engagement ring, and didn't get it back. And so what we also talked about is, again, if you're going to be part of that, you need to know to certainly make sure that you know the laws in your state, because you should be able to get, in most states, if you give an engagement ring, if the wedding doesn't go through for whatever reason, you're able to get your engagement ring back if someone doesn't want to go through with it. But in some states, it depends. Like if you're the one who breaks it off, you gave the engagement ring, but you did something to cause it not to happen, then the woman can keep the engagement ring. But generally speaking, in most states, well over 30 states in the U.S., if the wedding doesn't go through, you have to give the engagement ring back. And so a lot of people don't know that, or a lot of people aren't doing what's legally necessary to ensure that they can get back their property in full. And if the person wants to do something stupid with that wedding ring or with that engagement ring, then you have every right to you have every right to want financial compensation for it. If they go and just destroy it or damage it or throw it away, they got to compensate you for that ring. So so those are things, that laws that you need to be mindful of in your state when it comes to those things. And absolutely, it was a very repugnant act, in that time. But at the same time, he was kind of dumb also. I guess he was dumb and stupid, crazy in love, and he wanted her.
Thanks.
But I'm saying for the woman I was talking about, not you per
Oh,
se.
I thought you were talking about my situation. My
No,
bad.
no, I'm saying Eric is responding to the woman who first of all rejected the first engagement ring and then lost the second one, and got three rings out this guy. Yeah, that was pretty just something to think about. And yeah, it was a very cringeworthy story, and it was even the cringiest thing was that she was even willing to share that with us in the office. So
You know what, dude? That's something you don't share in work setting. I think that's something you should keep to yourself. Like you're a gold digger.
I would think so. I would think so. All right, so we got a guest coming on, Indigo Major. So Indigo, you're gonna ask if you can share. You don't have to necessarily share on camera. If you can share your just your picture so we can see who you are, and then we can bring you on, and then you can be in the. Oh, that's Indigo Major. Wait a minute. You went. Hang on. How can you change? You got this brand label lost in translation,
That's right.
which is how can you do that to us? I don't know
I
how to
had
take
to.
this.
I got a new album dropping, man,
Okay.
this week and next week. I got singles dropping Friday, so I've been pushing it. So
Congratulations.
thank you, sir. Thank you, sir.
Awesome. And that's so great.
You
So
might
what's
have to
going on
bring
with
him
you,
as a
man?
guest soon. That means.
I know.
Say what? Yeah,
Bring you on
man.
as a guest. Talk about this. You've been,
Yeah, man.
certainly. I know you have a long, music background and whatnot, but I know you've been seriously putting in some work in this music business in recent months. And yeah, I would love to, chop it up with you and talk about that process in terms of, the drive now while you're picking it up at this point in this season in your life would cause you to do that and yeah, to talk about your work. But
I
but
have
yeah,
an,
man, yeah. What's
I have
that?
a great idea for Lost. Lost. Me and Paul, we need a custom theme song for the gray area. I think you should hook us up.
I got you, man.
All
That'd be
right.
dope.
I
That'd
got
be
you.
dope. If it's coming from you, that'd be dope. Yeah.
I got you. I
All right.
got you.
Well, what's on your mind, sir? So we've been talking the last few weeks. We've been talking about again the cost of things, and the cost of romance and all these things. And just tonight, like I said, I just had a trip last week talking about this automation and these things that are coming. And like I said, it's I admit it's cool. I'm a tech guy, so it's exciting seeing these things in action. And where this stuff is going, but certainly it does cause concerns for certain people in terms of prospects for potential work or whatnot. But my thing is, again, if anything, it causes you have to think about what I want to do with my life, where things going. You can't just depend and rely on things like that anymore. You have to be very intentional about what you want to do, and then have the flexibility to move if an opportunity or space dries up. What is your next move going to be? So I think on the whole, I think a lot of these things are going to be a net positive for people to get out of old ways of thinking. But what say you? Because you also have some experience in the tech space as well. So what's your take on automation in general, or any other topics that we talked about in the last few weeks?
Well, automation is inevitable because it's just one of the things that people are not going to really push back on. Nobody's going to really push back on labor. Anytime you want to get rid of labor, they always for that. Now, when it comes to creativity, then that's going to be a problem. But at the end of the day, it's about what you put into the system versus what you get out. The human
Mm,
element is always going to still be there. You know what I
mm,
mean?
yeah.
AI can only do so much, so it
Mm,
still relies on human ingenuity.
mm,
And I think that's where people can thrive in this new space, coming up with different ways to do different things, how to conceptualize things. Even coding is something that still is automated to a point,
mm,
but you still have to have the imagination as for what is this for? What is it
yeah.
going to do?
Yeah.
How does it benefit the company? How does it benefit overall public?
Right.
And I think as long as it stays in that particular lane, I think people should be fine. They would just switch over to something else that's a little bit different.
Mm-hmm.
I've been seeing a lot of people going back into agriculture now
Mm-hmm.
versus working in corporate America because it's less stressful.
Mm-hmm.
You get a chance to be in the sunshine. You get to learn different things, get your hands dirty, that type of thing.
Yeah.
Kind of, touch bases with, the earth, that type of thing. So
Mm-hmm.
I've been watching people gravitate toward agriculture and things like that because people always need to eat.
Yeah.
And we always need to solve different problems whenever there's new diseases or anything like that. We always need
Mm-hmm.
to have people to figure that out.
Mm-hmm.
AI can't figure that out. That's always going to be something that people are going to have to figure out and do and put their eyes on it for
Right.
themselves to figure it out. But that's my whole
Right.
thing.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, it's interesting you mentioned the corporate because I think certainly, I mean, we're both Gen X. So
Right.
growing up, that was almost like an ideal, at least for some, this idea of having this being leaving the farm. Because again, my family comes from a farming background. Like I said, when I was in Georgia, again, you go 90 miles west, and that's where everybody's from. Everybody was a farmer. That's my both sides of my family. They all come from that agricultural background. But it was always the idea is to kind of get out of that.
Right.
And they always painted this image of being in the big city or the big corporate sector that you made it, you got off the plantation, if you will, and now you're in the space. And it's just interesting that now you're saying that people are actually going back, taking, again, with that shiny object, what you thought that what that corporate experience would be, and now they're getting back to nature. Now they're getting back to what's real. Now they're getting more organic kind of living. And I was actually thinking about talking about that before the show goes on, just in terms of people who, and I'm not saying that there's obviously not a lot of profitability in farming or agriculture, but just people just taking a step back from material consumption or pursuits. Like the last three shows when we're talking about, again, the cost of engagement rings, the cost of weddings, the cost of just Valentine's Day, $30 billion industry on things, and just people just saying, like, hold up, are we becoming so addicted to this consumerism that maybe it might be better if I went back to a simpler lifestyle and not so like I gotta have again these shiny objects
Right.
all the time. So I think this whole time that we're in, I think people are really starting to question, like, what do I value at the end of the day? And is that thing, like I said, I lost my wedding ring 10 years ago, and I don't feel any less married or committed, certainly to my wife. Again, we're winding down. We got 3 weeks to end of season 29. And we just keep this thing going. Like, if I didn't have a ring, or if I didn't spin, if I had a Cracker Jack box ring, I'm still as dedicated as. What's that?
I'll cut you off a second. So most people, for a while, they care about the name brand, the Apple Watches, the Nikes, the Timberlands, all that. So I think we're getting to the point now. We don't give a crap about the name brands. We care more about the quality.
Some people are.
Yes, some people care about the name brand, mostly kids, but us adults care about the quality. What kind of quality am I gaining when I'm paying 100, 200, 300, 1300, 1400, 50K on a car, or whatever? Am I getting the quality, or am I getting a name? Great example, Ford. Ford, everybody knows, owns Lincoln. So what is the difference from the MKZs versus a Explorer? Excuse me, nothing. The only difference is you give me some extra bells and whistles, and the nice shiny label that says Lincoln on it. You can save up at least 10K, maybe more, getting an Explorer. I think we're leaving the name brands and going for quality now.
I think what happens is that the automotive industry has outpriced themselves out of the average normal person's salary.
Right.
And I think that was a shame that Ford and Chevrolet decided they want to get out of the standard sedan market and just only cater to SUVs, because I don't think it makes them nimble enough. That's the reason why you have companies like Honda, Nissan, and other Hyundais who still make sedans and still making a profit, even when gas prices get out of hand, which I suspect will be soon. So
Yeah.
You always want to remain flexible, and I think those Motor City has done themselves a disservice by taking their eyes off the prize as far as the average everyday person.
Yeah.
That's
Was
the
there
reason.
six? I remember Henry T. Ford. I think he's quoted as saying, "I have to pay my employees enough so they can buy my cars."
Correct.
Right. I mean, it's like if thinking about it, and that was the thing, as a company, again, you wanted your employees to patronize your product. So again, you made it affordable, certainly enough for them and to the mass consumers. And that was the benefit of the Model T, because you had cars, you had different car manufacturers out there, but he went for, again, the mass market. And so when you say today where Ford is now, where they're thinking about, again, pricing themselves out of where the mass market is, again, as a sort of a long-term strategy, when you forget about the masses, I mean, you certainly, you could be setting yourself up for failure down the road. So it's interesting, just that change in philosophy, from the original concept of fabric of the company to where it is now. It's just interesting to me.
And the thing about it is that's a conversation that I think captains of industry need to have amongst themselves as well too, because you can have one sector like housing who would suck up all the money from everybody else, and then on top of that, the automotive companies are the ones that are suffering, because it's easier for people to pivot to a smaller car than it is to pivot to a smaller home.
Yeah.
So I think that's part of the conversations that the captains of industry need to have amongst themselves. Say, hey, look, it's not equitable for us to continue to drain the American people out of all of their money just so they can have a decent a standard of living. You know what I mean? Just because they want to be greedy, but that's neither here nor there. But I think there should be some level of responsibility amongst the captains of industry.
The automobile business, you see a transition in the last several years. People are buying more SUVs versus cars too. Yes, cars are a little cheaper on gas, and what the price that is now, you definitely need a good quality gas car. And like, I'm lucky my car is a pretty decent car. I mean, gas, but it's a transition now. We're going from, I remember when I was a kid, sports cars were the thing, Civics were the thing, all those standards cars was the thing. Now everybody's buying SUV. People don't realize how expensive the gas is on those damn things, and maintenance too. It's a bigger vehicle. It's a lot more maintenance.
Well, look at it this way: the average standard American sedan is roughly about $34,000. The average, the average SUV is roughly about 60 or 70.
Yeah.
Now you look at the average wage and the average earner, which is normally about $50,000. It doesn't take a rocket scientist to tell you that these people are outpriced. So whether they want an SUV or not, they're just leveraging their credit to get that. And then we're in this position now where credit is going to be tight. Then we're going to start seeing people make some changes where they're going to start picking up those $5,000 cars and running them in the ground versus going out financing a half of a home just to ride in, that type of thing.
It's just amazing. Just in recent years, I went, took my car down to get service, and I get just every week they're trying to get me into another car. And I'm just telling you, I'm gonna run this baby into the ground. I'm gonna run this thing into the ground. I don't need a $500, $600, $700 car payment every month at this point. It's just not worth it. No matter what deal that you throw at me. Now I know back in the day, I know they were doing 0% financing on a new purchase. Now I thought that was a very attractive offer at the time to get people, certainly compared to the used car market, because for a time, the used car market was really picking up. And so when they went to the 0% financing on new cars, I think that helped to kind of level set some things. But like I said, at this point, I'm not looking to get into anything at this time. And then you also need to know, again, what is your need, right? Like I remember, I embraced a minivan. I remember when minivans came out in the late 80s, early 90s, or whatnot into the 2000s. I got my first one in 2000. Nobody was like, wanted to be, you were too cool for a minivan. I was like, look, I know I'm going to have a bunch of kids. I had 3 kids in 4 years. And kids are going to have friends and whatnot. So we would put 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 people in that minivan. And I didn't care what it looked like or whatnot. It did what it did. It serviced the function that I needed at the time. So again, a lot of our thinking is about, again, this material things, what looks cool, what gives you status. And I think a lot of people are starting to understand now that status is not everything. And again, they say status is for people who you don't even like anyway. You know, who you trying to impress at the end of the day. You get what you need for you and your family and whatnot, and who cares what anybody else thinks. But keeping up with the Joneses and all these things, well, because this person got something, then I got to get it too. I think, again, we can't afford to have these kind of decisions being made when it comes to anything. So again, you know, engagement rings, you know, a friend of yours, they spent 2 months salary on an engagement ring. If that's that's good for them, but look, maybe you can't afford that. Or maybe, like I said, you got your grandmom's ring or whatever. Now, again, the woman that I'm marrying, if she can't accept that, then maybe she might not be the right one for you. You know what I mean? So you got to know who you ride and dine with. And I love when you talked about CQ, when, again, he bought his wife a very inexpensive engagement ring. 10 years in, he got her the bling ring. You know what I mean? So, and again, that's a great strategy. Also, again, if you're playing the long game, but you're spending so much of your money on trying to impress someone. You know, we all know about the dating. Okay, well, you're too expensive for Cheesecake Factory. You want Del Frisco's on the first date, and all these kind of standards that these women are setting up, that, oh, I deserve this and deserve that, or I can go there myself, so I want to date also. But again, I think you're missing the mark in terms of, you know, what's really important. Or, you know, but again, trying to buy love is, I think, a lot of, and I'm happy to see that a lot of men are starting to tap out. Says, nah, it's not all right. If you can't accept me for me or where I'm going, if you can't see the potential where we're going, if you can't see the strategy I'm trying to put together for the long term, what I'm trying to build, then I may not need you with me, certainly on that ride. And so I'm happy. The one thing about this whole manosphere type of experience, I have my criticisms of it, but the one thing is that men start to, again, look at their value and look at, you know, where their money is going and choosing better. And I think this is the area that we're in, where all of us, we have to choose better career-wise, choose the people we want to have families with and partner with, you know. So all of these choices that need to be made in these times, I think we're in this space where, again, men are starting to wake up and understand that, again, in this time, you have to do better and choose better if you want a better outcome down the line.
Absolutely. I was telling people the other day, man, there's a lot of guys who are making women wives who shouldn't be. They're not qualified. Mm-hmm. You know, if you don't know what it takes to be a wife, or if that's something that you desire innately, then you might want to try something else, because being a wife is not easy. It's not glamorous, but it is rewarding if you marry the right man. So I tell the fellas all the time, make sure that you marry somebody who's worth marrying. Yep, somebody who's worth carrying your name, you know, and somebody you won't be embarrassed by, that type of thing. So 100%. That's how I look at it. So the ring conversation shouldn't be a hard one if you're marrying the right person, like for the real reason, you know.
Absolutely. Shout out to our guys in the building tonight, Braxton and Snake Eyes. You know, certainly good to have you here. Again, the link is in the chat. Anybody wants to hop on this conversation, we're kind of going around the horn. We talk about automation. We talk about the cost of things, weddings, engagement rings, or whatever. So if you want to be a part of the conversation, you're free to come on. And then my guy who always joins us on the sports show, KP from KC. You know, certainly be very interested in free agency, how the Bengals are doing. You know, certainly when it comes to, you know, their prospects for the new year. But you're certainly free to come up and join the conversation as well. But again, just appreciate you guys choose to spend your Sundays, your Sundays with us. And so, but yeah, like I said, that trip that I took last week, and again, I don't know if they're gonna want me on the road, because I know we're supposed to be going live over the summer, so I'm probably gonna make a few more trips down there. And to me, that's a privilege also. I mean, the idea that, you know, they're kind of put me up on the company's dime, so I don't have to pay for nothing, you know. So I think one thing that I've learned in recent times, because people tell me, is like, Paul, you just take everything like in stride, like you just, you know, you're the same all the time. It's like I just feel very fortunate that I'm exposed myself at my age, that I'm exposing myself to new experiences, to new things, to travel, business travel, And like I said, that's just the season I'm in now. This idea of living in the present and enjoying the present. New experience. Well, I took my wife out last week to Peterton, New Jersey Pack. We saw George Lopez last week. I was like, I've never been there. It's like, she was looking at me. It's like, what? It's like, now all this time I've never been there, and it's like everything seems new. But I see so many people where it's like, it's hard to impress them. Like, sometimes like, again, I hold my tongue, but you go out with people, again, you're eating a meal that you didn't pay for. But you're complaining about the food, or your drink isn't good enough, or this isn't good enough. It's like you have this sense that you're always in lack, like nothing's good enough. It's like, why aren't you happy? And are you trying to fill that happiness with these things that can't give you happiness at the end of the day? And so I think that the reason why I'm able to enjoy and have this sort of mindset is because, again, this idea of the present. I like talking about back in the day, but I don't live back in the day. You know what I mean? It had its role, it had its time, it helped to shape me in certain ways. But again, the present living and to just kind of take everything in, it's just a different level of existence, and it's contentment. It's not complacency. It is contentment. Is really where it's at for me in recent years, and I got a feeling, Lost, that you strike me as that kind of person also. Again, just the fact that you're creative at this age. We're about the same age, so again, you're this creativity that you're in is just beautiful to see. So talk about where are you mentally, intellectually, spiritually at this point in your life, and what is allowing you to have this spark, this creative energy, where we see so many guys our age. It's just like they might be in their mid-50s, but they're like 70 years old. And I'm saying to them, it's like, dude, you got so much more to live for. You got so much you can give to the world, but you're sitting on your gifts. You're sitting on, what you could be doing. And so talk about, where you're at, when it comes to this sort of thing.
Here's my thing. Music has always been a part of my life. It's just one of those things. I think that technology has finally caught up to what I can actually do now. You know what I'm saying? It's now my imagination is the ceiling. You know what I mean? It's no longer the floor. I can actually do things and imagine things I've always wanted to do. So now that I have that opportunity, I'm going to do that. And plus, I have inspiration from other places. Yeah. You know what I mean? That allows me to expand on different topics, which I really enjoy. But outside of that, man, music is something that never gets old. A lot of times people think that you have to perform to do this other stuff. But if you got a song in your head and somebody else needs to hear that, I think you owe it to the world to get that type of thing out. So that's the main reason why I decided to pick up where I am, because I've always done music. That's not an issue. But now that, everything is cheaper to do it now, you don't have to wait on, a studio. You don't have to wait on other people to come in. You don't have to do any of that. So now it's just me and my computer and my imagination, and we can get busy without interruption. I can get up in the middle at 3:00 in the morning and complete a song versus waiting on somebody else to send it back and forth and to play instruments and all this other stuff and vocals. I don't have to do that anymore. So now I can pretty much handcraft stuff how I want to do it. So that's where I am right now. And like I said earlier, the album fully releases on the 20th of this month, and I got 2 singles that drop on the 13th, which is this Friday. Oh, and it's going to be releasing everywhere. So you're going to start to see a lot of people listening to what you guys have been enjoying for the last few months since October. So
I'm looking forward to it. We got in the back, we have Black Man is Fair in the background. So again, we're going to ask if you can just share your camera. Again, we need to be able to see you certainly before we bring you up. If you can do that for us, and then certainly we'd love to bring you into the conversation. But again, that's something we require, especially if we don't know you. We want to make sure that you can, you can do that. So I'll wait for that. But if you can share your camera in the background, no one's going to see you. But if you can just share that so we can identify you, and then we can bring you into the conversation. And anything you want to share in this conversation, you're certainly more than privileged to do so. My man Anton, you're in the background. Certainly, again, the link is out there if you want to join. If you want to join this chat. you can certainly do that as well. But certainly appreciate you coming up. So again, we have Black Man is Fair, who is up in the background. Good evening, sir. Welcome to the Gray Area Show. How are you doing today?
Peace and blessings. Peace and blessings. Yes, I'm doing
Likewise to you.
very well today. Very well.
Likewise.
Thank you.
Good to see you. Good to see you. What's on your mind?
I'm just basically trying to get a handle on the conversation. I see the title, Say It With Your Chest, the gray area. So I'm just trying to get a handle on what that is.
So basically, so the format of the show, every 4 weeks we have a call-in show. And so we have different topics that we do every week. And so it gives we don't have a lot of interaction with guests when we're doing these shows. So we always give people a forum. So on the fourth show, the call-in show, we give people an opportunity to come up and share or vent or anything that they might have had a disagreement with. Because a lot of times if they'd be in the chat, they'd be disagreeing with us. So we give them an opportunity to come up on the call-in on the live show, so they can express their point of views, things that they didn't have an opportunity to share during the show. They have an opportunity to do that. And so again, so we say it with your chest, because again, you have a lot of people who talk, but we want them to give an opportunity to share in the conversation. So the last few weeks, we've talked about, again, really the cost, especially when it comes to romance. Again, just started on Valentine's Day, the cost that people will go through to spend on Valentine's Day, the spending. Then the next show, we talked about the cost of engagement rings and wedding rings. And again, that whole industry where people will, spend exorbitant prices, or the expectations that are set for people when it comes to that sort of thing. And then last week, we talked about the cost of weddings. And one of the things that I shared was recently I went to redo my dog's dog license, and there were 2 weddings that were going on that day at the city building. $150, and basically it was 2 different types of wedding parties, 2 different ethnicities, and they were able to kind of get their thing going, and then they were able to kind of move on with things. So a lot of times we think about the cost, what we spend on romance or relationships leading up to potential marriage. And even then, you have a lot of these things that don't necessarily work out. So again, just getting people to think differently about how you approach things. If marriage is what you want, if that's if that's something that you relate to, what are you valuing that on? The price of dates, the price of rings, the price of weddings. Is that an indicator of your love for someone that you would spend those exorbitant prices on? And then just tonight, as we fill the space in the conversation, we're also having a topic on automation, because I work in the IT field. And I had the opportunity to go down to one of our warehouses that's opening up, and they're using robotics and automation in the warehouse, and just also where that is going in terms of, potential prospects for employees or whatnot in the future, or even opportunities for people, depending on your perspective on automation. So again, we deal with a different topic every week. So again, people are allowed to come up, share their views, certainly on those topics or something that they want to talk about. But we like to keep the conversation free flowing. The only thing we ask is that people just be respectful in the conversation, and we just have a respectful exchange. So that's kind of where this kind of opens up for us. But have you spent some time on the Black Men Unfiltered Network? Have you been part of their shows and content? Have you been following their content, or you just found us? How were you able to find us tonight?
No, I've yeah, you were in my feed, so I just checked it out in my lives. But
Appreciate it.
yeah, I've been on the Black Man Unfiltered
Nice,
network before. Yeah, so I'm
nice,
familiar. Coach
nice,
Ferg and
nice.
everybody.
Oh yeah, that's my guy. In fact, we do a show on the Sparta HQ network. We do a show called Next Gen Training, and basically, both, he has a coaching background. I also have a personal training background, and so we have a passion certainly for young people, and so a lot of our
Right.
show content deals with how young people can be better, how to improve your social skills, job and employment prospects and whatnot. So we kind of put together a series of shows on that. But Coach is a really good guy, and so I'm always privileged to share a show with him as well. And we just came together on that
Absolutely.
as well. But again, good dude, very good dude.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
absolutely.
Yeah,
But yeah, but
that's great stuff. I mean, to inspire the kids, and they're the future, so that's definitely great stuff that y'all guys are doing.
Yeah, yeah. I think, like I said, he's always been passionate about it, and he just got back into coaching this past year. He coached 6th and 7th grade basketball, and
You regret that one.
it almost took him out. but
You
but it's
regretted
just
that one.
he did. But the interesting thing, but what he told me at the end, at when those seasons were over, those kids all came up to him and they hugged him and embraced him. Like a lot of times, especially with the OGs, a lot of times we don't think that we're necessarily making an impact, when in the end we actually are. And so,
Oh,
so again,
definitely.
so I encourage him to. Now again, coaching might be just the stress of it. Certainly get there. So to do something in another space or arena. But I think him, just like myself, we're always going to have. And I've always used the training space, especially working with strength training and whatnot, to work with young people as well. Because what I like to do is I like to employ principles of success, principles, spiritual principles, even to help people kind of overcome things, overcome barriers and whatnot. I've had clients who couldn't do a pull up, a chin up, and then I got them to a point where they're doing like 10 chin ups, and and then the feedback a lot of times I get is like how that helped them, not only just physically, but how that helped them in their careers and how to be more assertive and self confident in kind of what they do. So it's we've always had a space for that. And I know one of my sort of my post retirement goals that I have, one of the dreams that I have is I wanted to kind of create a space for young people. Like I have this mindset for boys 12 to 18 years old, to set up a space. I don't know if you recall, like used to have these programs like these, not boot camps, but you kind of, you take a kid out of an environment, you put them in a place where they can kind of grow and learn and exercise and do certain things. You can impart certain skill sets to them. So that's always been sort of like a post-retirement dream of mine, that I really want to get some good brothers together that can be well-versed in certain topics and really work with these kids. A lot of these kids don't have fathers, and really kind of give them some knowledge on certain topics that'll help them as they matriculate through their teen years and enter to adulthood. So that's always been something that's been certainly it's in the back of my mind, and certainly something I'm looking forward to doing in the near future. And I'm really trying to encourage, especially with the Gen Xers. Like I said, I know a lot of guys. When we were in college and whatnot, we were so active, and we got caught up in our careers and whatnot. But I'm still saying to them and trying to encourage them that there's a lot more we could be given. And for a lot of the guys who say, "Well, where did Gen X go? Gen X failed us." We're not trying to keep playing that narrative. They say we're here to help. We're here to listen. Are you willing to relate and work with us? And so again, our arms are open to receiving certain things, and willing to hopefully bridge some of these generational gaps that whatever happened between Gen X and millennials or Gen Zers or whatever. So that's always just been something that's just been like I said, a fire in me that certainly I want to see perpetuated. But yeah, just some things.
Like when we got together, we were like different, but at the same time. That's why we created the show. We can be different in the same time, and live in an equal space, out hating each other.
Right.
Yeah.
I agree.
And I think and I think really where the show originated from was, I thought the conversations got a little bit too toxic, especially in the last 18 months or so. And so when Peter came up to me and wanted to do a show, it was more so about how can we talk about the world. Again, we come from very different cultural backgrounds. How can we talk about things in a respectful fashion? How people can have a conversation, because especially the way with YouTube, the algorithm works a lot of times is, the most intense conversations, the most intense yelling and calling each other every name in the book and all that kind of stuff. And that gets heat, and that gets views, and that gets clicks. But we want to kind of pull back from that. And we wanted to have, a space where thoughtful individuals can come and have a conversation and not, be insulted or overly criticized for, having a different point of view or whatever. And me and Peter, we don't always agree. And that's the whole idea, the gray area, me being black and him being sometimes white. He goes back and forth on the Greek thing. So in terms of, sometimes he'll say Greeks are white, sometimes they're not.
You reached the limit. Shut the fuck up.
So he'll always go. So we kind of had that kind of dynamic exchange. But where the show also comes from is a lot of times with these issues, when people find so passionate on things, what I find more times than not, if you listen, a lot of people aren't necessarily far off. People want to look at things in black and white. More times than not, there is a gray area that if you can just get rid of the rhetoric and you guys can come to a mutual understanding of each other, that's a good place to be in. So the gray area for us is not only the conversation, it's also the tone of the conversation, and just really seeing how connected that we really are, even though we come from different backgrounds. Me and Peter, have a lot of things in common, a lot of shared backgrounds and whatnot that's allowed us to become friends in this space. And we've actually had the opportunity and the privilege to meet personally on many occasions, in person and spend time and break bread with one another. So this is one of the better uses of the space. And so again, we like to kind of foster that kind of environment through the show, that gives people an opportunity to be heard, in these spaces. So that's really sort of the genesis of it, for us. And so far, we're on our third year now. How long I forgot how long we're doing this now.
So about 3 years into our fourth year.
It's amazing.
It's been a while we've been doing the show.
How the time goes on, the number of shows that we've had, and and we like, at the end of the day, we like each other and we like having the conversations, and we're appreciative to BMU for giving us this platform to have this conversation, and we hope we've certainly given value back to the channel.
Absolutely, well said.
Yeah, definitely. But anything else on your mind tonight, as far as any opinions or thoughts you may have on the topics that we're talking about, or anything that's on your mind you want to put on the floor?
Well, yeah, I feel like inspiring. I'm a black man, so I just talk from those perspectives a lot of times.
Sure.
And just trying to inspire black men to think better. We're into the red pill conversations and stuff, which is seeing the reality of things, of life and things like that. So
Nope, you still there? You muted. Black man, are you still with us? Okay, I think he's muted for now. If you get into a space where you can kind of come back up, you can certainly pick up where you left off. But Pete, your thoughts on but it's amazing. It's like we've been doing this 3 years now. It's crazy.
Yeah, it's been a while, dude. Like I keep forgetting how long it's
24. We started 2024, 25. Now we're in 2026 now. So it's just, and the people that have been with us. I mean, again, Braxton's been, he's one of the early guys who's been with us, coming up every, I am truly humbled by the fact that, the people that we, who will tune in week after week, and be part of this conversation, whether you come on live or whether you be in the chat, that we just appreciate you guys spending your Sunday nights. You can be anywhere else. But it doesn't matter if it's the football season or whatever's going on, that you guys choose to certainly break bread with us. So we don't discount that. And then Lost, I mean, or the new name. I gotta get used to the new name now. But Lost, who's certainly been a godsend in all these spots. Just with his temperament, his mindset, and certainly what he brings to these spaces. So anytime that he has the opportunity to be part of the conversation, he is always welcome, and he'll always have a seat at the table, certainly in this space. But yes, Braxton, you certainly are one of the youngest guys right here. But we, again, we appreciate you being here. But certainly feel free to hop up on the show, and I want to know, like, what a young person like yourself. Like, what is going on in the minds of young people, especially with everything that's going on now today? What do you think about automation? And that's something we talked about earlier, like I said, I had the privilege of going down into a warehouse, and they're starting to employ automation that is scalable. So again, I think we're starting out with, 5% capacity in the warehouse, but certainly depending on how it goes, that can easily scale up to 20-25% capacity in the warehouses. So again, for young people like yourself, what is going on, with you guys? How are you embracing the idea of automation and AI when it comes to your job prospects and your future potential out there? How's it affecting you? Are you excited about it? Is it something that worries and concerns a lot of you guys? So I would like to certainly know from the Gen Z or in younger generations how this impacts you. But like I said, when you see it up close, it is just a very exciting environment to be in, and to see how all this kind of works together. Like I said, you got dozens, if not hundreds, of robots all working in sync with one another, and you know, and to put all that together, it is a feat to behold. But like I said, but then, you know, you have to think about, okay, for the workers that we did see there, you know, are they worried? And I didn't get a chance to, you know, this last trip I didn't get a chance to talk to a lot of them, because I wouldn't necessarily put that in their minds either. But again, are you excited about this coming in? You know, or do you get concerned about at some point I may be replaced one day because of you know, because of these machines that are coming in? Or are we essentially training my replacement, and my replacement is going to be a robot? I mean, that's got to be something that for a lot of people they're thinking about and whatnot. But I know, Pete, I know you're a chef and whatnot. But do you think that automation, or have you seen in what ways automation may be affecting those in the culinary arts, where you have again machines that can do certainly a lot of things? You use a lot of machines in doing what you're doing. So again, realistically, what do you think is the prospect for, could a chef someday, like, you know, go back to Star Trek, right? You went to the food replicator and says, "Look, I want this," and the machine just kind of spit it out, you know. So what do you think of that?
Actually, we have go with like Electrolux is called. It looks like a big ass fridge almost, but it can do multiple things. Except having one piece of machine, this machine replaces a lot of thing and error out of people.
Right.
For example, if you want a steak medium, you put it in, show the thermometer, you program it, you walk away. A few minutes later, you hear ding. You go over, you put your thermometer on it, make sure it's correctly cooked, and it's ready to serve. Rice, same thing. It's very automatically. Hit the rice button, walk away.
Mm.
A lot of things are automatically now right in the kitchens. We don't realize that. Like I worked in one place that had those automatic the fryer lifters. I think McDonald's has them actually. Now I think about it, I always hated those damn things because I was never a fan of them.
Right.
Not because they're automatic thing, is because it gets in the way when you're trying to shake the basket and all that stuff.
Right.
I see those. I see a lot of outsourcing now. Like for example, except us cooking, let's say a pork, we will get it in a bag, cooked off already, and just steam it up and just serve it in that barbecue. There's a lot of that going on in the field now. A lot of things, you know, you don't need to cook or butcher yourself anymore.
Right.
It's starting a dying art. Like recently, I actually learned how to do butcher fish. I never had a butcher fish till recently because fish, it was something that always comes in pre-butchered for us.
Yeah.
But we have a policy, non-frozen products.
And
I looked at my boss like, how the hell are we going to do that? I'll show you. And we're working on that. Same thing with meat. We butcher our own meat and all that stuff because the quality of freshness is there. And you can't get that when you have a pre-cooked stuff or pre-sliced stuff and everything. Because if you get pork chops, 9 out of 10 times they're coming in frozen versus cutting yourself. So that is done art. But the first it's kind of a hard balance because they want it fresh, but they also they want us to order everything pre-cut and stuff like that. So it's gonna play that juggle game kind of thing. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
And it just will my job ever be automatic? Yes, it's going to be fully automatic at one point. I already see it coming. It won't probably be my lifetime, towards the end of my lifetime, maybe a little bit, but definitely a couple generations from now, it's going to be fully automatic. You're going to go in the kitchen, going boop, 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 boop. Ding. My tray's ready. So it would seem like Star Trek or any other food maker thingy you see on any sci-fi show.
Yeah. The Jetsons.
Go ahead. I'm sorry.
No, I was just saying the Jetsons and things like that, where we see like
Yeah.
a futuristic world. So I just think automation, everything that we do is to make things easier for us and to make things
Mhm.
quicker, to be time
Right.
efficient, to cut time.
Right.
So these are those are things are all welcome, in society that help us, with our jobs and help us get through our day easy.
No question. No question. But I think really the question for us then is, if we get to a point where we have all of these things done for us, what then is going to be our purpose in the world and in society? What is man going to do when it comes? So we don't have to go out and cook our own food. You don't have to go out and go into the forest and chop wood for yourself or whatever. They're going to have they already got machines and robotics doing that, cutting down trees and things of that nature. So again, how is man going to define himself? Because I think for forever a lot of us, we define ourselves by our work. Whether it be mundane physical labor or what have you. That's kind of how we identified ourselves. And you see a lot of times when guys when they're out of work, it's not just that you don't have a job, it's like you don't have a purpose. And so what is certainly for the man, what conversations do you think Black Man is Fair, what kind of conversation do you think we need to have in terms of how does a man define himself and what his purpose is outside of his work a situation, and can that purpose be something that's even greater than that work? And is it better for us to start thinking about those things now versus when you don't have something and you have to get something together? But I've seen a lot of guys, they come apart. I mean, it's like 1 month, 2 months, 3 months, 6 months out, 12 months out. And I know guys who refuse to even consider themselves outside of something else. So it's like guys who were like, mid level management or what have you. And they're like, I'm not taking a step back. I'm not going to go bagging shelves in a warehouse or something like that until something comes up. My thing is, you need a reason to get up every day. And so until that door opens for that next opportunity, would you take it? And I've known guys who sat on the sideline for over a year, did absolutely nothing. The unemployment benefits ran out because, again, mentally they cannot see themselves in any other way. So what do you think is the sort of conversations we need to be having with men, in particular Black men, certainly for the two of us, but for any man for that matter, in terms of redefining what it means to be a man and what it means to have purpose and what kind of purpose we can have?
I think if we're getting into automation, then we're getting into managing the robots and things and managing the automation. But outside of that, just having a stronger mental. A lot of men are systematic, you know what I mean? So they go by the system. So if the system fails or if the system goes now they're failing. But I don't believe in that. I think man is he adapts, you know what I'm saying? He's just not going to roll over and die, or
Right.
because this went this way. It'll just make him stronger. I have to go in another area and be good in that area or die. You know what I mean? So I don't see man as just rolling over in any way. Man will always adapt. I think anytime you get men all in a bunch, all in this same group together, we're out of work, we don't have nothing to do, we'll go excavate some land and build a city or something, or go do like get together and do a greater purpose, all for one thing that you all could get something from it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Yeah. A bigger production, or, in one thing. So it's just going to have to be a different mindset, just adjusting your mindset, seeing what the markets are and seeing what you need to be and what skills you need to be, and having stake in those markets and having control and turning a dollar profit and a life out of it. So I think we'll adapt no matter what the situation or circumstances are.
That's good. So you're optimistic.
I believe in that. Yeah, I'm very optimistic. I believe in men. I believe in men.
Awesome. And I think, and again, that message in of itself, and I know that's something that a lot of times I'll be on, because again, when I start to hear the sort of the melancholy I kind of like to want to shake guys up sometimes. It's like, it's like, oh, well, things are so hard or whatnot. But again, I think men have to be built at all times. I know on the show that Coach and I do, Coach Ferg and I do, there's 4 elements that we always talk about. We talk about your physical health, your intellectual health, your emotional health, and your spiritual health. And I think those are areas that you need to be advancing in at all times, regardless of what your age, what your age is. And so, usually, when I hear guys who lament about the problems that they're having, that tells me right there that they're not necessarily putting the time in to develop in those other areas to overcome those problems. And so, those are things that I'm always encouraging men to do, is to overcome a situation, like you said, adapt to a situation, find a solution for a particular situation, but don't just sit in your rut or complain about your lack of something. You need to get into something until, again, those opportunities are start to manifest themselves. So I definitely agree with you. And like I said, it's weird. I've been in certain rooms, certain conversations as of late where I've heard some of that mindset, and it wasn't necessarily my place to kind of interrupt some things, but some of these guys I just want to kind of to shake out. And usually what I find is that when I'm hearing that though, out of those 4 areas, something is not being worked on at all. And I think all of those areas need to work together. It's hard sometimes to think about your intellectual, emotional health when you're physically not well or physically not able to do certain things. I think it all kind of works together. So I'm always going to encourage men to take care of their physical health, to be fit. Again, there's different modes of fitness, but to be fit, to be learning something every day. Don't just fill your head with entertainment, but try to learn something on a daily basis. Work on your spiritual, whatever your spiritual source is or what have you, always be striving to work on that, and to, again, get a hold of your emotions, because I'm not saying men, we're not allowed to be emotional. We are, but you need to be able to control your emotions and think the right thoughts. If your thoughts are wrong, then that's going to have a major impact on your emotions. And so, so I'm always going to encourage men to work on those individual areas so that, again, when situations come, you're going to be able to adapt to them. But I want to bring my guy up. Certainly our guy Anton, Jersey Strong, Jersey Stand Up. Certainly been waiting for you all night, but I'm glad you were able to make it on. Certainly as we start to land the plane. But how are you doing tonight, sir? And welcome to the show.
Thanks for having me. I'm doing pretty good and everything else. Just take care of things behind the scenes.
I know.
That's all. I've been trying to get on and everything else. I was trying to take care of some things, family related. So got things to know, and I figured I'd try to pop up for a few minutes.
And I appreciate you. You're always welcome here. So what do you think? So again, in terms of, again, we've talked about weddings, we've talked about, just the cost of romance, we've talked about automation. I showed the robots and all those things that are going on. So just out of all of that, what are you thinking? What are your thoughts on? We also have a guy, DeJackson, who also just hopped up in the back. Again, DeJackson, I'm going to ask, since we don't know you here, if you can show your camera, just so we can see who you are. So before we bring you up in the conversation, certainly we'd appreciate that, just so we can see who you are, and then we can certainly bring you up. So with that, go ahead, Anton. What's your?
I saw the video that you posted on the automation and everything else, and like Peter said, it's a good thing and a bad thing. A good thing because it makes the task a lot easier. It's not physically straining. But it's also a bad thing because now you can come up with a system to replace the people. Mm. And that's always been, I think, one of the things that people have been worried about for a long time. And just like I posted in the chat earlier, you have people, when the auto industry started installing those robots, it was a good thing because it made it a lot easier to build the cars. But at the same time, you now have a system in place that can replace what a lot of the people on the assembly line were doing. So it was kind of like almost a combination of, we have a new way of building the cars, but we now have a faster way to build the cars. We don't have to worry about paying individuals. We don't have to worry about paying their benefits. We don't have to worry about all these other things. And that's basically what happened. Now it seems like a good amount of industries, you're seeing more robots than actual humans. And the only humans you see are the people that maintain the robots.
Mhm.
That's it. It's like it's almost like it's give and take, but at the same time, it's like, I don't know. It's hard to find the words to describe it.
Yeah.
You know?
Well, even if you go back to the auto industry of the 80s when that stuff really started to happen, I mean, obviously those people found work somewhere else. You know what I mean? I think that if anything, it forces you. And I think a lot of people, especially if you go back then, the mindset or the attitude at the time was, oh, I got this job. I work at the GM plant or whatever. I have a job for 25, 30 years. I don't have to, I didn't have to, worry about a job. But I think people who had to go out and either learn a new skill, get in, like you said, Peter, he started out as an auto mechanic. Then he became a bartender. And now he's a cook. Now he's a chef. So I think that's something that people have to, have to do in order to, to maintain living or whatever that you just.
For example, we both know somebody who is struggling to find a job for over a year and a half. And as many times we spoke to him, maybe looking into a different field, he refuses. He's stuck in limbo.
Oh, wow.
At some point, you need to find something else.
You have to learn to adapt. And I think that's when you have people who've been doing something for a very long time, they don't know how to adapt. They're too set in their ways, and that's not always a good thing. Like there's a time to die on the hill, but when it comes to something like employment, this ain't the hill to die on.
Mm-hmm.
You gotta find something, anything.
Yeah.
Hey, I use the 300 Spartans for a great example. They weren't 300 Spartans by themselves. They had all these Greeks and everything. But during that battle, they evolved to learn a different form of combat. We did that in, obviously, you know this better than I can, and Tom, because you're former military. During Iraq and freedom, we adapt to the different combat. Same thing as work. We're gonna adapt. Even listen, look at Detroit. What happened when all everything went automatic? They shut down a lot of factories. Unfortunately, that's sad, and I feel bad for those people. I don't think they ever recover from that. But cars are pushing out faster than we can count now. So those people didn't adapt, or did they? I think they did, because we would be having a different conversation with Detroit right now if they didn't adapt. You know what I'm saying?
True.
And you saying, "Oh my God, Detroit is a ghost town." People are not gonna say there's no work. Something else. Another example: Bethlehem. There's a place called here, Bethlehem Steels. Was one of the largest steel mills of America, I think, is it?
Yeah.
And they were finally shut down. They still have, the town is still breathing. It's still living. It's still kicking.
Yeah. But I have seen some of these like company towns, like if you go to Syracuse, New York, or a lot of those spots up in upstate New York that were company towns, you can see, even though they're there, you can still see that the town is not progressing. Like there's a lot of old structures, a lot of old infrastructure, because you can't, because again, there's new lifeblood. There's no development. There's no opportunity. Like they were, popular in the 50s and the 60s. Like Syracuse or Rochester is another one, because Rochester, that was for Kodak. Kodak was like a company town. When they set up in Rochester, that was a company town. But then you saw, I think I might have been up there maybe like 15 years ago, and you could see that the Kodak itself wasn't developing anymore. I mean, they were actually getting replaced by digital, and you could see its impact on the town because they employed a good portion. I mean, a lot of the lifeblood of the town was through those company, those companies. And so, again, where they are now, I'm not saying that a lot of people have they left the area, but sometimes that's what we got to do also. Like I'm a Steelers fan. Why there's so many Steelers fans throughout the country is because, again, the Steelers, because they were a steel town, when steel mills shut down, they took their fandom for the Steelers with them. So they resettled in different parts of the country. But that's why you have all these Steeler fans, Steeler Nation, because of that exodus, that they never gave up their devotion to the team.
That is so true.
Even though the steel industry gave up in the 70s. But
that is true.
yeah, but I'm going to bring on to the chat. I just want to bring it to the comments. So again, Jackson, I know you've been having problems with your video, but I want to give you a shot to be up here. Jackson, can you hear us? Can you just chime in?
Hey, can you hear me?
Yes, I can. What's going on, sir? Okay. Okay. Thank you very much. Thanks for joining. Try better next time. Want to have that, but in any event, but yeah, but like I said, people adapted because of the the situation. Yeah. So
there were places. I mean, like you were saying about Bethlehem Steel. Like a lot of those people were from Pittsburgh area, and then now they moved to different parts of the country. Anywhere you go around the country, you're gonna find a Yinza. No ifs, ands, or buts about it.
Yeah.
You're always gonna find a Yinza.
Yeah.
And you can tell someone.
Look at the area I live in right now. This was a ski resort 101 at one time.
Yeah.
And it ballooned like crazy in the last several years. Definitely Mount Pocono in the last 5 years. I literally drove up there a couple times. Like, I don't recognize this area. And I was up for 15 years in Mount Pocono. And I was like, wow, this changed a lot.
Yeah. A lot of places.
Casino up here. Things are evolving everywhere.
Yeah.
And people have to learn to adjust to it. People have to learn to adapt, because if not, you're going to be stuck and you're going to get left behind. And when you finally realize what it is, it's too late to play catch up.
Yeah. Yeah. But like I said, you almost have to. Like I said, I know friends of mine, family members who is just like they couldn't see themselves outside of the profession or the career that they had. And it wasn't just people who were in blue collars, like white collar jobs. And but they had to get to a point where they had to humble themselves, where they got to another space. And when they were able to do that, they were able to kind of rebuild from there. But I know guys out who sat on the bench for 18 months, unless I got back like into the field of the job or the career that I was in, that they were not going to consider themselves. In their minds, they weren't going to lower themselves. Even though they had families to support, you got kids to feed and whatnot. I'm like, look, I don't care. I'll dig ditches if it meant feeding my family. And so that was never going to be that was never going to be a thing where I was going to allow my pride to get in the way of again, what was required for my family to be successful and to have what they needed. So I just think that's just something that, even with all the things that are coming, you got to be at that mindset, or again, you will be left behind. But I think that's a good thing, because I think we need to be prodded sometimes, and pruned, and sometimes and that's not comfortable, and that's why I'm always relating it to fitness. Exercise isn't comfortable. I don't enjoy, as much as I talk about it, I don't think I enjoy exercise like that, where it's like, yeah, I'm looking forward to this workout. It's like, it's just a mindset. Like, I know I need to do this. And yes, I'm going to be fatigued. I'm going to be sore. I'm going to be messed up for a couple days after this workout, but it needs to happen. And so that's always just been my mindset, because again, the benefits I'm going to see later, but I gotta toe this line. I got to sow this soil now to see a crop later on. And so that's the way I've always embraced it. And even with the people I work with, sure, if I'm training them or whatever, or even my wife sometimes, it's like, look, we're going to do this or not. You just, again, you do what is required, not how you feel. And again, having the emotional maturity to be able to take those things on, that's really what's important. And so I'm always going to.
4 years ago, 3-4 years ago, I can't remember how long it was, when I was released from my job for nothing I did wrong. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And I needed to work, and I wouldn't find a job fast enough, so I gave it 3 or 4 days, no phone call, nothing. What did I do? I got in my car and started driving Uber. I hated the job.
Yeah.
Because you don't make nowhere near the money I make. What I make.
No.
Sure.
But it's interesting now, because you're making more money. I mean, I'm not going to put your business out there, but you're in a much higher position than you were 4 years ago.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So that's the thing also. We get scared sometimes about that process and not understanding that sometimes you need to take a step backwards, or get sometimes forced out of a position so that a bigger position, a greater position, come later on. And so many people are just afraid to do that.
So sometimes you gotta, if you're in a situation where you need a little bit more, and you've done what you can, like I started doing Uber and Lyft because my wife has diabetes, and we had an issue with trying to pay for her medication, and I was just like trying to figure out what the hell I was going to do.
Yeah.
And I remember a couple of my coworkers at my job were like, "Yo, you all right, man?" Like they saw the frustration on my face, and I told them what was going on. And my friend Kevin, shout out to him, he was like, "Listen, why you ever thought about doing Uber?" He was like, and I thought about like, really, I never really give it a thought. But he was like, "Yeah, do Uber, man. Here, I'll show you what to do." He helped me download the app, showed me what to do, got everything all set up. I went, started doing it and everything else. Within, I think within like the first week or so, I was able to earn the extra money that my wife needed for her medication.
Facts.
She was like, "Where's this?" Like, "This is the money for your medication." She's like, "How did you get this?" "I got for Uber." And she was like, "Really?" I was like, "Yeah." And it helped in so many ways.
Yeah.
Because it was, I mean, people don't realize even when you have the things to protect you, at times it's not always enough.
Yeah.
And at first I was just like, I know people who are doing it because they needed, a little extra cash here and there. And I've thought about it and I was just like, you know what, we'll give this a shot.
All right, so shout out to Kirchberg and the Belt tonight. So if you come part of the VA, they'll pay for 100% of the medical needs or whatnot.
Yeah,
but
I know.
Right.
I've had my issues with the VA trying to just get enrolled and stuff, and it got to the point I was just like, so I just kept on working. I kept on working.
Yeah. I mean, you worked out a solution, even though that, see, and that's the thing too. Some of it's information, right? Like if you would have known about that program and got into it earlier, that could have been something, but you figure something out.
Right.
And I think at the end of the day, I think that's what people have to do. You have to be in a position to figure things out. And a lot of times you won't figure those things out unless you're forced to.
Right.
It's like you have to figure out a solution. I remember that scene with that Doctor Strange when the ancient one, she put him on Mount Everest.
Yeah.
Be like, you better figure this out or you're going to freeze to death. Sometimes you got to do that.
I always say to you guys, do you remember?
You say everything. You say a whole ton of stuff.
For once, it's positive. I mean, it's not me being stupid for once. We always going to fall off the mountain and we're going to roll down, right? But eventually, we're going to go back up. But as you roll down, you saw your mistakes. You're not going to make them twice.
Right.
Yeah. You go up, you're going to be better.
You learn on the way down.
Absolutely.
To not make the same mistake going back up.
Absolutely. We got Braxton and Snake Fiend in the back. How you doing, sir? What's going on?
Braxton.
I'm all right, y'all, and yourselves. Turn on my camera.
Doing well, man. What's been going on with you, man?
Nothing much or eventful. It's just the usual,
And what is that? Stop thinking in abstract. Oh, nothing much. What is usual? Is this a good usual? Is it a bad usual? What's life like for Braxton? What's going on with you, sir?
Things, embracing the suck. What is it?
Yeah, man.
It's just a good usual. Is all. There's nothing bad.
I'll take a good usual. I love good usuals. As like I said, I live my life now on good usuals. I keep it very boring, very very basic. So again, I will take a good usual for sure. But
yes,
but yeah, man. But what's on your mind, man? Your thoughts on again this convo? We've been talking about automation and robots and wedding rings and whatnot, and all this kind of stuff. So just what's your general take on anything, or what's something on your mind you want to share? Certainly on the show. What's going on with you, man?
Okay. Well, excuse me. Well, as for the automation talk, the automation subject, I say it's a good thing. Well, okay, I say it's only going to be bad for the ones who choose not to get with the moving times and the oncoming time, because like I said, because now it is, you gotta get on the bandwagon, go with the flow, get with the program, because the ones who do that is like the ones who are going to see it as a bad thing, they're going to see it as a bad thing. They're going to see it as a good thing. They're going to see it as a good thing. Right. It's plain and simple. So with things and technology changing and with AI, and like you mentioned, See me, like you mentioned a bit earlier when you was asking me, it would be the smart thing and the consistent thing to do. It is, is to go into those fields. Like it's either you go into those fields, whatever type of degree you're going to get, at least get 1 or 2 degrees relating to technology. And for the people that's already working, working in factories or warehouses or something, and when they start putting these different devices in machines in those places of work, learn them, or go somewhere and get a certification, or something, so you can know
Hmm.
how to work on these advanced or advancing machines. It's plain and
Right.
simple.
Right.
So,
Yeah.
yeah, like so
Yeah.
like the main is so
Yeah.
the main thing is just don't get left behind or get caught up.
Exactly.
So
Exactly. Yeah, and like I said, I've even at my age, and that's how, like I said, especially for a lot of Gen Xers, it's weird because you get a younger Gen Xer, you get an older one, and even then, I'm still saying it's like, dude, you got so much more capacity that's within you just based on what you've done up to this point, and there's so much more you can be learning. But it's like, again, a lot of these guys like in their mid 50s, it's like I'm talking to a 70-year-old, 75-year-old already, and that's something that I try to kind of shake. But like I said earlier, those things that me and Coach talk about, those pies, if you look at it, they're stagnant in a lot of areas, right? It's not just they're not stagnant just in their intellectual. Like I'll ask them, like, are you exercising on a regular basis? I'm not saying you got to go to a gym and lift 500 pounds or anything like that, but are you? What are the things that you're doing on a regular basis? What are you filling your head with on a regular basis to continue to improve or to progress in life? And a lot of times you see that area. Spiritually, are you growing? Do you go to church? Or if you don't go to church, are you reading scripture? Or, it's like it's a pattern. It's like it's just you're just stuck in a time and you just can't get, you just can't get past that. And so that's why, again, I'm always encouraging guys, or certainly me and Coach through our show, we're always encouraging people, your physical, intellectual, emotional, and spiritual health, that you need to be exercising those things on a regular basis. And if you start to slip up on those things, then it's interesting how those other areas get affected or impacted. If you're not growing spiritually, then again, you're not, those other areas, the physical, everything else is going to die off as well. And so each one of those is like a components of a car. You need the engine, you need the transmission, you need the steering, you need all those things working, or the car won't function, or you won't drive a car if any of those things aren't functioning. So I'm always trying to encourage guys, you got to embrace this new time. So I'm like, my job can tell me this, we need you to go to China and we need you to study these robots for a year. It's like, okay. The only thing I may ask is, can I bring my wife with me? That's the only thing I would want. If I can bring the missus, I'm all for it, because I can't be without my missus for that long. But yeah, I agree that certainly those who embrace change, adaptability is the superpower of this time, and it's the number one thing I think that even recruiters and people when I interviewed for the last job, I remember I got a job offer prior to the one that I got now, and the only thing I talked about was the chaos of my last job and all the crazy stuff that we had to do in the end just to kind of keep the company afloat or whatever. And she was like, bet. Like, look, you don't have the skill set that we need, but guess what? We can teach you the skills. The skills, that's the easy part. We need somebody who can come in here and be like, oh, that's the problem over there. Okay, how are we going to fix that? So again, that kind of attitude, I think information can always be gained, but getting the right people who can embrace that's the hard part. So yeah, man. I mean, we'll see how this goes. Certainly, like I said, I was down there. They were doing like the beta testing, so they were like working like how this is going to really. So when we're supposed to turn this system on in the next month or so, and then we'll see for real how it all kind of shakes out or whatnot. But from what I saw, it was crazy. Like, what they've been able to do with this, and again, just how all these robots, they're like, literally, you would think they just bump into, like, it'd be like a train wreck. They just bump into each other, but they know when to interact. Like, so you have one, like, you come to an intersection, like you say, okay, look both ways before crossing. Like, they already know that. So you got these robots going back and forth. God, just wait. I'm waiting until the lane opens up, and then I'm gonna go. I mean, so all that's kind of built into it. and so it's an amazing thing. It's an amazing thing to watch and to see. But
I think
yeah, man.
the best way you were describing like how people can be stuck, it's like, it's almost like this song from U2, stuck in a moment that you can't get out of it. And that's sometimes what a lot of people are dealing with.
Yeah, yeah. And yeah, you just got to encourage them to do better and to be better. But we're already at time. We're at the 2 hour mark. Certainly of the show. But certainly we appreciate certainly Braxton, Anton. Again, don't be a stranger up here. When we have the lives, again, as soon as you can get on, we love to chat. I love to get to know you a bit better and just see what's going on, because I really am interested in what's going on certainly with your generation and some of the things that concerns that you have, any topics also that you would want us to cover on the Gray Area Show. We're always soliciting for topics, and so any things you want us to cover or bring up for discussion, you're more than welcome to submit your ideas and whatnot. We'd love to entertain them, and but we just appreciate you guys, because you guys have been rolling with us basically since the start, and we appreciate the support that you give us every week. Being part of this conversation. So, but again, we're going to try to line this plane. So I'll just go around the room. Any final thoughts that guys may have? So I'll start with Braxton. Certainly with you again. Appreciate the late that you came up. But anything you want to say before we start to land this plane?
Yes, sir, sure. And then the next one, I'll try to come up a bit more earlier, maybe on longer. And my final thoughts are: one, I appreciate y'all having me up on here. I'll try to make it on here again, and like I said a bit more earlier the next time. And and lastly, I'll say I'll say similar to what I said earlier. When things like not all change, like not all change is good, and on the other hand, not all change is bad. So, but when things are changing for the better, like right now, well, at least technology wise, things changing for the better right now when it comes to technology. Just just learn it, study it, figure it out, and learn how to use it to your advantage, and then then sooner or later you'll be able to make to make a living off of it, because like with right now with with all these different apps, social apps, social media, and here on YouTube, people are using that for an extra source of income, because in the way things are now, at least here in America, it's smart to have either maybe two or three streams of the different income,
Yeah,
coming to you, and all, now you shouldn't need now you should need to have two or three streams of income, but yeah, but that's all thanks to the ones who are currently running the country, and that goes on both political sides, not just one.
Mm-hmm.
And but still not, but even still, even though things might not be as smooth due to them, but still it is on you personally as a citizen in your personal life to make things better for yourself and to get yourself together. Don't look for a politician or anybody else to make things better for you, because first of all, you want things to go better for you, then do better. So if you want better, do better for yourself first, plain and simple, first and foremost. And yep, and yep. So that's pretty much it. So just get with the times, pretty much, and don't be
appreciate
afraid
the
to
wisdom,
change.
brother. Absolutely, that's wisdom right there. And again, wisdom can come from anyone and from anywhere. So again, we appreciate those
Bye-bye.
thoughts. But Anton, any final thoughts on your end?
My final thoughts is there's a lot of things that's going on now, and just like what Coach Ferg told me, we got to learn to adapt, improve, and overcome. That's something that we both learned during our time in the Army. You got to
Mhm.
learn to adapt to the situation. Sometimes you got to learn to improvise, and you're always going to find a solution to every problem that you have to deal with.
Facts.
All right. And I think the one thing also people have to be willing to do, be willing to change, be willing to try things different. Try doing something outside of your comfort zone. No one's saying become someone you're not. People are saying learn to become a better version of who you currently are. And some people are not willing to do that. And sometimes you not have to do a big change. You don't have to like move to another place or get rid of your friends or end your relationship or your marriage or anything else, sometimes a small change, a simple change could be learning to read books or listening to them on Audible. A small change could be, going to work out.
Yeah.
A small change could be trying a different diet. And that's it.
Yeah.
Because sometimes that's all it takes. It's not always that as big as people think it is. Sometimes it's small and simple.
Facts. Absolutely. Pete?
Evolve, adapt, learn, become different. If you stay still, you're not going to become anything. If you need to change a line of work like I did multiple times, there's nothing wrong with that. Learning is involving. Learning is the best thing you can do. If you sit back and just let the train run you over, I don't need anything about to talk to you. That's it. Before I pass you over, Mike, Brax. Also, I see you have a lot of things in the background that me and you may have in common. Check out my network. Yeah, we have a lot of things in common, I think, back there. Am I right, Paul?
Absolutely.
And check out the Furniture Network. There's a lot of things on there you might enjoy, and you can jump on with our conversation. I drop that link pretty often, actually, on Saturdays.
Okay. All right, sure. And you say your YouTube is Sparta Network or the Sparta Network?
No. I'll drop the link right in the chat. Hang on a second. Just give me 1 minute. I'll drop it right now, so you can get it.
Yeah. And I'm on there, like I said, typically I know Coach and I would take a little hiatus right now, but me and Coach have a show on there. I'm typically on the Tuesday on the Tuesday shows. So I'm pretty active in that space as well. And so you can certainly go there and check out what we got going on. In fact, we did a number of shows, and I think we covered almost every area, especially for young people. I know I did a two-part series on job interviews, the job process. We did a series of shows on that, interview, resume writing. We did, there was certainly a number of shows that we covered in that space that I think could really be beneficial to people. We got a lot of positive feedback on those shows. I've done shows on fitness, and I've done shows on training, and how you can train from your home just using water jugs and things of that nature. So so there's a lot of content there that you can certainly glean from. And so we just kind of keep the conversation going. But we're taking a little break right now to kind of recharge our creative juices. But I think we put enough content up there for a young person to be like, here, you can take and run with us. And then what we're really trying to steer the show is conversation Q&A. So again, we have a mailbox that we have so people can drop their questions in the Q&A, and we want to use the Q&A as a basis for the show. And so we can take that topic and kind of run with it, and have a mailbag and answer questions there. So that to me, that's like the next evolution of the show, because I think we've given, especially for a lot of young people, we've given you like, okay, if me and Coach wrote a book, we'd be like, okay, here's the book, here's like 10 principles to success for a young person. Now we're saying, okay, read it, study it, apply it. You got questions, then come back to us. So that's kind of where we want to take in future shows. We want to take the show to that level, so that we can, instead of talking, I want to be able to engage and really, interact with people. So that's the future vision for the show going forward. But we have quite a bit of content that I think you'll find beneficial. And also if you check on the site, I think there's also a playlist. I think that's also available on the site for our shows in particular.
It is a playlist on the network, actually.
Yeah. So you definitely check that out as well. But again, want to thank you guys certainly for coming up and being part of the conversation tonight, and certainly for all of you. Thank you for being part of this conversation tonight in the area. Again, on Sundays you can spend your time almost anywhere, but you chose to spend your Sunday nights with us. But for all of you, enjoy your week. Certainly for those in the Northeast, we're going to get the big thaw. Hopefully this week it's supposed to get in the 70s. So hope we can melt these snow mounds that are all over the place.
I'm already seeing that happening.
Yeah. So hopefully we'll get a warming trend.
You know what that means, Paul, right?
No, well, down here we got another round of severe weather. So.
Oh no, jeez. No, I think the worst is over for us, but we got hit pretty hard in January.
They may little showers on Friday, but I'm not really expecting it. But you know what this means? That means I go away and you take over the network for a few days. So get ready for your round.
We'll do it, whatever we got to do, whatever is required for the network. But again, we want to thank you guys for being part of the conversation. Again, just make sure you guys hit the like button both here and hop over to Sparta HQ. Show some love over there. Also, again, we definitely appreciate the following and the support there. But certainly for myself, for Braxton Snakes Bean, and for the Ghost of Sparta, a.k.a. Peter, a.k.a. Panayotis. This is the gray area on this Sunday, March 8th, which is the anniversary, the 55th anniversary of the fight of the century, Ali versus Frazier, Madison Square Garden, 1971. One of the greatest fights of all time. So again, today's the anniversary for that. But we'll talk about that maybe in a sports show coming up this week on the BMU Network. One-on-one sports show Wednesday nights here, 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Tune in for that also. We're in the dead space for the NFL, so I may bring that fight up as a topic, certainly for the show. But for us, take care, God bless, and we will see you next time. Good night.